And it's still going on to this day.
And James Rothstein is still speaking out about human trafficking.
He is.
He has not, even though he's retired, but he still, there's videos all over the net of this fella, so he must have become...
He's a good person, and he's helped me a great deal, and he's well respected, and the information he has, as you said, it does corroborate what I have said, and Jim has taken the time to investigate this case back when he was in an official capacity, and to this day in retirement.
Right. Well, again, anybody who is honest in their civil service, when they hear this kind of a thing from a police chief, and then, it's one thing to say the police chief, but frankly, Noreen, the thing that you shocked me with that I did not know is that the follow-up police chief, the replacement police chief, if you will, the next who comes in, has the meeting saying that, you're not going to investigate this, tells me that even if you're eyeing that first police chief, you find out, my God, it's systemic above that.
That's right.
That is...
I was in shock when I heard that.
Yeah.
That there was that meeting and that they were told not to help me.
Yes.
And I did ask the man, why are you telling me this? And he said to me, you're a very smart lady. Very smart. He said, you have got this put together as to what transpired in terms of the local involvement here. And he said, they know that you know, and they can't afford to have anything further come out in an official statement. And everything runs through the local jurisdiction, you see.
Yeah, sure.
And so even when the photographs came forward and were brought out of Johnny tied up in those first few hours after he was kidnapped, when I took the photographs to them, they immediately said, that's Johnny. That's Johnny. And then 3 days later, they called me and said, well, we're going to do a press conference and tell people that we don't believe it's him. And I said, well, why are you doing a switch? Well, there's some detective in Florida that claims it was an old case of his years ago. And I said, well, can he produce any evidence? Does he have a file? Well, no, but he thinks he has something written on some recipe cards. Hello?
Yeah.
Recipe cards? And so I said to the policeman, I said, if you go ahead and do a press conference saying those photos are not Johnny, you are going to look very foolish in a few days. Because as it turned out then, the detective in Florida, who was just working with the sheriff's department at the time, he could never produce anything. And then it came back out in the Des Moines Register that they were never able to produce anything and that there was no validity to what the man had said. And if anybody that looks at the photographs and looks at pictures of Johnny, they know it's him. And even the National Center for Missing Children verified that it was him. John Walsh looked at them, who's a good friend of mine, and I've been on his show. And there's so many people that know that the pictures are Johnny. To have the local police say they weren't was just redundant. They completely switched their story around. And you can only do that so many times before you really look inept to the public.
Yeah, or if something looks very wrong, that's for sure.
Or very corrupt, either one.
Now, you've been obviously looking at this, as you said, beyond Johnny, but for the human trafficking aspect itself. Between the time Johnny taken back in 82 and now, are cases more prevalent today?
Yes. There's much more information being disseminated concerning human trafficking, kidnapping in general. If children are being photographed going to and from school, in their yards, anything like that, it's brought out now. And Johnny was photographed 2 weeks before his kidnapping. He was on his way home from school, and a neighbor saw a car pull up and a man lean out and take picture after picture after picture of Johnny as he walked by the car.
Oh, man.
And those pictures of him walking, the neighbor reported it to the police. The police told her, not against the law to take pictures. And then 2 weeks later, Johnny was kidnapped.
It sure would have been against the law right now, I guarantee you. So,
yes, it would.
Yeah,
and the advent of the Internet is just a pedophile's playground. It makes it so much easier for them to transport photographs of kids. In the old days, before they had the Internet, pictures of kids who had not been kidnapped yet were in catalogs.
Right.
I saw such a catalog in Washington, D.C., when I testified before a Senate hearing in 1984. And it was on the table, and it was presented by Ken Lanning of the FBI, and it was all information that had been confiscated from a pedophile when they arrested him. And the Washington Press Corps took pictures of all of this, and I asked, I said, well, what is this book? I've never seen these kids' pictures before, and I was pretty familiar with all the missing children at that time. And the FBI said to me, well, this is a catalog. These kids have not been kidnapped yet. And that was hard copy.
Right.
Today they can upload it on an Internet and send it across the world in seconds.
Yes. The good news is that it's also faster for us to find it and ultimately find them, if that is our desire. But J. Gosch Foundation, believe it or not, we've run out of an hour and a half, but we'll have you on again, Noreen. But J. Gosch Foundation at AOL.com for your email. I'll put that up there.
For the email.
Yeah, and I've got the website on mine, JohnnyGosch.com. Good luck to you, and we'll talk again.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks,
Thank
Noreen.
you so much for having me on. I do appreciate it. And if this opportunity arises again, I'd love to come back on again. There's so much more to this case.
We will do it.
Thank you, Rollye.
It's the Rollye James Show.